live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into tonight's matchup of the Detroit Pistons versus the Indiana Pacers, I wanted to let you guys know that tomorrow afternoon, episode number 22 of the Revved Up 906 podcast is coming out. And this week, we talk about Bojan Bogdanovic and what is in store for him this offseason. We talk about possible trades, maybe him staying and what his role might look like within our offense. We get into the details of Bojan Bogdanovic and where he lies on this young team. Without further ado, let's get into tonight's recap of the Indiana Pacers versus the Detroit Pistons. Tonight's final score was in the Detroit Pistons' favor, 122-115. The Pistons had the largest lead at one point, which was 21 points. The Indiana Pacers in the fourth quarter were able to pull it within 6 points. But tonight, we got to start with the highlight. Jaden Ivey and Killian Hayes really finding their rhythm tonight, combined for 57 points. Jaden Ivey's final box score was 29 points, 9 assists, and 9 of 20 from the field on 42 minutes. Killian Hayes, 28 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 of 7 from the three-point line, 9 of 19 from the field on 39 minutes. It was really nice to see these guys really just take over when we were supposed to. The Indiana Pacers, much like us, are dealing with a lot of injuries. It was really nice to see our top guys that are healthy right now take over and just get a win.
Yeah, and something to acknowledge, Ivy had 2 steals tonight, which he normally isn't in that category. And then Killian had 4 steals and a block.
Yeah.
So both not just offensively, but defensively, they were doing their thing. I mean, that's not a shock for Killian, but it's just normally you don't see that out of Ivy, in the sense that it's actually recorded, because he can play defense. He's not bad. So it's just he finally got acknowledged tonight. So kudos there. But they both played great, and so for me, Ivy getting the 29, not surprised.
No.
Killian getting the 28, I'm honestly not surprised, but a lot of Pistons fans would be. Nobody would expect Killian to drop 28 points tonight, even against a good team in Indiana. Yes, they did not make the playoffs. They were just outside of the play-in. It finished 11th in the East. Still one more game left. They could fall a little bit, but I don't think that's going to happen. They're a solid team, have a solid program going there, have a great coach in Rick Carlisle, former Pistons coach. They just know how to win, and so I don't think they're going to fall. But back to Killian. Killian was just on a whole nother level tonight. We've seen him hit strides like this from time to time, where he has a 25-point night, has a 20-point night, 15 plus, and it's like, oh, okay, Killian. But as Greg Kelser would say, at the end of the game tonight, post-game was saying nobody was expecting Killian to do what he did this season, in the sense that everybody wrote him off the first 2 seasons as, oh, he can just defend, he's just a passer, he's not a scorer. But this season, he's taken a next step, and he's become a scorer. Because before you could be like, oh, yeah, he can score here and there, but he's not like doing his thing. But this season alone, he's definitely notched it up a whole new level. And you're just going to see games like this from here on out in the future. Not saying he's going to consistently go over 20 points every night, but he's at least going to be double-digit scoring every night.
Yeah, with Killian Hayes, his offensive repertoire, meaning just the way he can get shots and buckets, has really expanded since his rookie year. You know, early in his career, we saw him shy away from the three-point line. He really just he was not trigger happy from the three-point line. He wanted to get his buckets around the bucket. But now we've seen him he can get you whatever you give him. He can get you from the 3-point line. He can have those little mid-range floaters. He can get it at the free throw line now. He really used to struggle at the free throw line. He's gotten better with that. So with Killian Hayes, people, like you were saying, were so discouraged early in his career. And so that's why Killian Hayes is the perfect example of patience. Give him time. Yes, he still needs a little bit more sculpting, but that's going to come with time. And he's proven that with time and being patient, you can get better and really develop that skill. I am not shocked that during a Pistons win, that in the first quarter, the Pistons played very well. They Pistons started out the game during the first quarter, scoring a total of 35 points to the Indiana Pacers 27. I am a big proponent of when the Pistons start playing well early, they will keep that flow going. And yes, they fell a little low and let the Pacers come back a little bit there in the second half. But in the end, we're able to make big shots when we needed them. Corey Joseph, 18 points tonight, really showed that veteran presence that we've been wanting, and he's been continually giving us those points when we need them.
Yeah, Corey Joseph had that stretch there where he was just hitting clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot. And typically without a guy like Corey Joseph doing his thing tonight or being out with injury or anything like that, you'd have Killian or Ivy or even others trying to attempt to get those points in, and it just didn't work out. But when you have another guy helping you out, it helps. And outside of Corey Joseph, I would say a big factor in tonight's win, it's a shocker, but Jared Rhoden. He had 10 points, 6 rebounds, an assist, 2 steals, and a block on 34 minutes. This is the most minutes he's played as a Piston.
Oh, for sure.
But typically he doesn't get up a lot of shots, and that was our one knock on him last time out. He played a lot of minutes, only had 9 shots, and wasn't really productive. Had 9 shots again tonight, was 4 of 9, hit 2 threes, and had 10 points. I'm not complaining from that stat line out of Jared Rhoden, given the fact that he's only had 9 shots, 9 opportunities. He didn't get much. Honestly, there were times where we're kicking the ball throughout the offense there, and Ivy's cutting, and that defender from Rhoden is pulling down. Ivy, he's not a vet yet, so he's not going to make that pass. He still needs to grow because he's more of a 2 guard than a point guard. Still needs to grow in that sense. But when that defender's coming down for help side, there's an easy kick out to Rhoden right there for a wide open shot. And it's just Ivy needs to grow in that sense a little bit, become more of a floor general, because when you have opportunities like that to get an easy bucket, it's going to work out much better than what you're going to take. Because on those plays, Ivy, I love Ivy. He's great around the rim. But those shots did not go in because there was a lot of contact down there in the paint. Whereas if you kick that out, there's nobody around. Granted, Rhoden could miss. That is a possibility. But tonight, he only missed 1 3. And so he was hot. He was feeling himself. And he's probably just stomping on the floor a little bit, going like, you had me wide open. Pass me the ball. But that's just something that Ivy needs to grow a little bit more with, because this season he's really shown that he can be more than just a 2 guard. He can play the 1. And so he just needs to continue that development, and just in the sense that even a vet experience as he gets older, something like that, it's going to happen. He's going to kick that out every single time when there's an opportunity to, because there's no way you pass up an open shot for anyone when even if you're winning by a lot. Like, just a vet player is going to make that pass.
Yeah, and we saw a couple guys that were some unsung heroes, with Eugene Amarui out with injury, Isaiah Livers out with injury. RJ Hampton was a guy that started tonight on 31 minutes, had 10 points, 6 rebounds. He's actually a pretty good rebounder, that's what I really like about him, that part of his game, because those rebounds are really what I call rebounds are just effort points. I mean, that's just showing effort. And, we've said that from the beginning. That's what we love from RJ, is that he gives this certain energy, and he shot 5 of 11 from the field. That's under 50%, but for RJ, that's not bad to be able to get 11 shots up. Actually on 31 minutes, kind of to the Jared Rhoden point, I actually kind of wish he got a couple more shots up than that, in 31 minutes. It would have been nice to see him around 15, 16. But, when Jaden and Killian took over the way they did, that's just going to happen. Only so many shots that you can get put up. But RJ Hampton, I'm happy with his play tonight. That's 2 games in a row where he's kind of found his offensive side of the game.
Yeah, and honestly, without the play from RJ Hampton, the play without Rhoden, the play without Corey Joseph,
Yeah.
the play without Bagley tonight, this game would have been much different. And even keep Bagley in that conversation, honestly. If you take out those role players, those 3 key role players there, I'm not saying that Bagley isn't a role player or a key one. He's just more of into the mix than anyone out of those 3. So if you take out those 3 guys, this game would have been much different. Indiana probably would have won, because I was sitting there watching this game and like, oh, I'm waiting for Indiana to just take over and win.
Yeah.
When is that going to happen? And it didn't happen, thankfully. But that's because you have Corey Joseph hitting those clutch shots. You have Jared Rhoden scoring above his average on the year. You have RJ Hampton just doing whatever it takes to win. And so when you have those 3 guys, that really helps, because without them, this game, just because you look at Wiseman's box score, for people that did not watch the game, you wouldn't necessarily have known that Duren elbowed him in the face. But but
worded so beautifully. I love that.
I tried to be positive about it. But but without actually watching the game and seeing Wiseman's box score, you're like, oh my goodness, what happened to him? Where did he go? Well, he got an elbow to the face. That's what happened. But if he would have had his normal game and not an elbow to the face, he would have had more than 3 points and 3 boards. Because the fact that he actually went out there and attempted to play in the second half, that's just good job, Wiseman.
Oh yeah, I mean, have you seen the size of Jalen Duren's
like triceps? It's like the size of my face, and I have a big head.
Yeah.
And it's like, imagine taking that to the. I mean, dang. I mean, that's incredible.
If he did that to me, I'd be dead right now.
Oh yeah, I would just have like a massive indent in my head. Like, it would just be, my head would be hollow.
Yeah. But for people not watching the game, that's what happened to Wiseman. He seems to be just fine. Got some stitches. Seems to be fine. The fact that he wasn't in concussion protocol after that is really surprising, honestly, because most players would be in concussion protocol instantly. Although maybe let's think that he's actually getting some need and care on the side, because we don't want to. I'm calling a football reference here. We don't want a Tua situation.
No,
that'd be bad.
Yeah, that's terrible. With Wiseman, it's hard to judge. He had only 7 minutes. I would be interested to see if he does get put on a concussion protocol, because I'm shocked that didn't happen. I mean, if I'm Casey, I'm just like, dude, go to the locker room for the night. You're done. Like, go put your street clothes on, come sit next to Cade. Like, you're donezo. Like, that's just, I would have called that, but I'm kind of surprised Casey didn't, just because that's typically something he does. Bagley, 14 points. We made mention to him earlier, 4 of 9, 1 of 1 from the 3-point line, 22 minutes. Another good outing for him. I'm happy with that kind of production from him. And, in the end, really with Bagley, is we just kind of need him to make up for whatever Jalen Duren and James Wiseman are struggling with. We need whatever they're kind of not bringing to the table. We just need Bagley to reinforce that.
Yeah, and this is what I want to see from Bagley next season. This is exactly it, because he needs to be that key guy coming off the bench and being productive, because he there's a reason why he was drafted as high as he was. Everybody's like, oh, he's not good. I'm trying to think of the word. I can't even think about it right now.
I'm trying to help you out. I can't think of anything. Washed? I don't know.
No, I can't think of it.
You're all good. You're all good.
Oh well. Okay, it's really bugging me now. But the point
I
is,
know,
uh, oh my goodness.
you're committed, man. You're committed.
Oh, what is it?
I mean, Bagley.
Oh, there we go. I knew it started with a B. He's not a bust.
Hey, I
There we
helped you
go.
out, and I didn't even realize I was helping you.
He's not a bust.
Okay, yeah, yep. I see where you're going
But okay, now that I figured that out, now I'm like, where am I going with it?
now. Now you lost your point. Yeah.
But
It's the end of the season for us too, people.
yeah.
Okay, it's the end of we're falling apart too
Oh,
here. Okay.
okay. Bagley is not a bust.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I would see out. I don't know where I was going with it. The
We're
point is,
happy with his play.
yes, we're happy
this
with
play.
his play, and I want to see this continue next season because if he keeps doing this, we're perfectly fine, and we don't necessarily need to move on from him. Because if he
No.
accepts the role coming off the bench and does
Yep.
this, I'm happy.
I'm right there with you, to be honest. I mean, if he averages 14 points off the bench, with bench minutes, he probably won't get double-digit rebounds every night. But if he's 5 or above rebounds and he's coming off the bench and he just understands this is his role, I just don't know if he will be able to accept that just because of the, how big he was in high school, so well known, sometimes those guys aren't the best at accepting that role, but he's definitely turned into a great player, not a bust, and has really kind of come to his own in the NBA. And there's been so many guys that have done that this season for the Detroit Pistons. As individuals, these guys have grown so much. Yes, it didn't translate into wins, but these guys have grown so much to Jaden Ivey, to Killian Hayes, Jalen Duren, Marvin Bagley. I wish, we could say the same for James Wiseman if we just saw a little bit more from him, more games. And then that's not anything that, can be controlled. We
Also
acquired him in a
not an
trade.
elbow to the face.
Yes, yeah. No, we would have liked to not see him. I wonder that should be in the box score. Just EH elbow head, elbow to the head. He took one of those. I should have counted for that in the box score. But yeah, it's nice to see this growth, and it's frustrating as a fan, not because we're losing, but because we've seen the individuals get better and you're not seeing it in the win column. You're like, oh, it's like, I wish these guys got a little bit more credit nationally or from the NBA because, these guys have gotten so much better, but they're just not getting the love because of the win column. So it's unfortunate, but as a Pistons fan, we're kind of used to that at times, But another thing too is the Indiana Pacers finished with 19 turnovers to the Detroit Pistons 13. So 13 for the Pistons is pretty solid. We like to see them 12 or under, but we've seen them at the 22 mark before. So to see the Pistons at 13 able to keep it a pretty clean game with the turnovers situation, that's another reason why the Pistons were able to close this game.
Yeah, and if you look at our fouls, man, that was still over our average. So that hurt us, and the reason why Indiana really came back into it a little bit there. But the fact that we held Benedict to only 16 points is really good. And the fact that he played 39 minutes and only made 4 shots and had 8 of his points from the free throw line, like, that's good. Andrew Nembhard, who's having a great rookie season, finished with 12 points and 10 assists. But the fact that we only held him to 12 because he can shoot. When you held Isaiah Jackson to just 15, because I mean, the last couple times he's come out against us, he's blown it up. And it's like, whoa, where's that coming from? Now, I love him. Michigan native. We're going to support you no matter what.
Absolutely.
But it's just when you hold a caliber player like these guys to just a pretty much like a minimum, you can feel happy that it was more than just our offense tonight that really won the game. It was also our defense. Like the defensive side of things, nobody would really like focus on. But when you're holding those three guys alone to minimum scores, and that just it adds up. And then you have like George Hill, one of my favorite vets in the league, very good point guard. The fact that he only had 9 points off the bench and 5 assists, because typically that'd be much higher for him. But or like Buddy Hield, he had 22 points tonight, 6 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal. Yeah, that's a great game for him, but he came off the bench. And so when you're able to hold him to just that, you kind of hang your hat on that. But I will say it is very impressive that he had 22 points in 22 minutes. That is very impressive.
Oh,
But
dude, the efficiency, yeah.
and one of the best 3-point shooters in the league right now by far. Like
For
5'11".
sure.
That's good. But yeah, the fact that so everybody's focusing on the offensive side of the things tonight. The fact that Killian Hayes 28, Jaden Ivey 29, Bagley 14, CJ 18, Roden 10, RJ Hampton 10, Duran a double-double with 10 points, 10 boards, and Wiseman with the 3. The fact that all our guys, excluding Wiseman, had had great offensive nights. We made up for that too on the defensive side of the ball, which normally doesn't happen. When you have 6 blocks recorded on the night for us, which is a lot. It shouldn't be for Duran, but it is a lot. And then we have 12 steals. That's not normal for us.
Yeah, right.
So
Double digits.
the fact that we had 12 steals, 6 blocks, and our defense was just phenomenal tonight. That's my takeaway from tonight. Is not just that Killian and Ivy had these great monstrous games. It's the fact that our defense finally stepped up. And that's
Right.
without key guys like Bojan. That's out without Isaiah Livers, without Eugene, without Cade, without Stewart. Like, we're missing a bunch of key guys, but yet we did something this season that even with those guys, we haven't even done yet. So,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm happy about this win tonight, is that our defense finally stepped up.
And that will do it for today's Revved Up recap of the Detroit Pistons versus the Indiana Pacers. The Pistons had a very solid outing, able to get it done on both sides of the ball. And tonight's final score was 122 to 115 in the Detroit Pistons' favor. Before you guys leave, I want to remind you to like and subscribe. The Revved Up 906 podcast is continuing to grow, and we want to keep that growing and up in the upward direction. So thank you guys for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe. We will see you guys in tomorrow's episode number 22. Peace.